Katy Chrisler received her MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop. Her work has appeared in Tin House, Black Warrior Review, the Volta, and the Seattle Review. Her chapbook, If It Be a Skeleton, will be out from Walls Divide Press. She currently lives and works in Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sid and wife, I'm about to decimate your birthday here, but. All right, I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna read one poem and then I'll quantify the second. What it is worth. What is dumb about silence? Current too strong to think in? Cathedrals float. What you have to do is choose. You expect edges? Get on with it. Describe the underside of your companion's face, the fitting together of parts. When does precision flower? Scar of a previous landing. I've attempted to catch the animal, death knell of faith. Around me, like a symphony, stage a scaffold off of that. What do you impress upon the senses, where the certainty of belonging overrides the desire to be free? So I have actually never written or read a poem. Well, I've read a poem over a page, but I've never written a poem over a page. It's been like I don't know, I get bored very quickly. But for you all this evening, I've got 9 pages of one poem. So I invite you to listen to whatever catches you. I don't expect you to absorb all of it, but just sort of, if you find yourself fading away, just come back and take whatever speaks to you. So it's called Last Ditch. I have lied so often, otherwise a fragile way to offer, fall into configurations, the practice of remembering, the return embodied. Here is a bright flow of present. The demise goes on like this. In denial, as it were, of snares, it is a pitfall, namely, thus of memory, hopes far too much. Whether the trigger prevails below radar, who are you? Who you are. I have little faith in error as a means. I know better failure than nonetheless. Uncertain exclusion, a first stirring, outcry, we all embarrass. Waver, we can be partially buried in order to place something at stake. Error as a negative. Did I deceive myself, or do I sense the truth that is still very much with us? How do I make myself apparent to command a plot? We come to share, bring to mind the split like distrust cold, cues from all senses of a film we have not yet seen. This body is a conductor that moves towards the aura, that has lost one's own desires around outmoded objects. They're just depictions we leave behind. Act in risk of violation, which is not the room, but the search for index. One who watches, the archived associations arise, trace provocation, at what cost? In ether of, not in sight. We do not rely on the notion of event. In any grasp, the delicate view, noon of monument, but mere coterie. There is no longer hierarchy, no fault of theirs, or ours now behold within reach. Leave the nest, no lessons revolve in the den. This bell of voiced, not of nothing could prevail. I tend the plot with a pride required. My fingers through my fingers, mistakes appear, a nullity, a hull. From husk, his alarm predicts exile. We sleep in kind, much older, meshed with the stage of surprise. Clean creeps the preamble. In quiet, dark, and safe are synonymous terms. I am light-skinned too, transfixed by paradox, who will shrug the gestures off. The myth supports enterprise. Perpetual sirens, airtight subscriptions, losses be told, inherited, or built. Are you someone from the place like the place I am from? A good set of teeth is more than bright cells of being. Moan with me in harmony. You need to watch your mouth. The laser blue sky appears smaller near the sill. It is not everything, but it is more. All this atmosphere holds the truth and just a fraction of the truth. Gentle lungs, dead leaves, the arms of a worker arc in the same slow motion as something lived. I do not accept the world as I see it, an overflow, the sacred. Here the edge falls away to the manner in which I give voice. Once a theory of action is that the human condition is what humans do. Labor, work, actions that guarantee meaning. Let the fence deteriorate. Watch the spectacle. Off the hook, is there another way to explore? To occupy our ever-changing world? Refabrication? I place two halves of one thing together and a herd becomes a landscape, celebrity, a massacre. The strategies of others implores, look like anything but yourself. My preoccupation is furious. Hers as slow as sleep in sight among them. This particular climax operates inside its own physics. Watch my mouth intently. What do you reckon? In strange relay, raw material is full of bruised stars, that by which we know ourselves. We are humans, but not humanity. A purposeful shape, eyes tied in knots, cluster of marks, his dark face ripe in low latitudes of dusk. I give you no strange security of hope, no collective certainty or progress without end or destination. Riven, what else do we love? A purposeful shape, rearranged natural light. The selfish answer is joy. In similar density, when aren't we playing God? From a place not whole, I glean. What goes on behind the scenery? In similar effect on disbelief, I blush for us, in truce. My sinuous continuities caught in the violent motion of digging treasure out of the ground. Rather, how does the spirit level work? This is nothing to speak of. The idea of accumulation is strange. Live without kings, stare at the sun, sow seeds apart in absolute space to artificial constellations. I must move beyond the idle dream of utility. Got 9 pages, guys. A spring without voice, half hidden in the shape of what I make. Though swept by fire, given time, the contamination has taken abode in my bones, more gracefully confined. The mercury falls, a nature of threat, but you and I are not quite enemies. We have fallen into a mesmerized state, a room half dark, freckled, yet even here, I pull my lips into a smile and hum to make noise. Love early, love late. Love none of those things to approach zero. The shape of your future depends on how I devote myself to the acreage. Astray, I follow the paths that have been built between houses. I pretend to want someone to blame. A man can be charming, full of confusions. Delight, yet where are the wolves? At throat, full of slick red bodies. For her sake, the imagination attends, not splintered artifice, but folds and complications. A young man is sure of nothing in life but elaborate ritual, his own private miracle of being. My value surface is full of reflections. It is not enough to believe in nothing. Start with what you have and whittle a discrimination of fury, of consequence. It is not too late to meld splendor with the bodies that grow from instruction. Her outlaw, common sense. He, underground. They got it wrong, the gods we have. I can feel your steps unravel with the clarity of youth. a blossoming of raw beginnings. There is no ordinary along with all other oblivions. He doesn't get a full house. The statues will recover with menace, forecast. We can try again to want less heraldic colors. I am in the middle of a ceremony of growing you for you, among ungodly racket, a single object set in place, overgrown, unformed. Yes, indeed, all right, I let go a prudish squeak for tradition. Flawless downfall is not retreat, and never on a Sunday. The other way from devour goes carefully. Were there other signs? I don't feel like I appear to be lost. No significant matter now. I cannot take what isn't a gift, mistakenly see what we have made. The wind piles into sonorous, explicit columns, just as we were going, fumble together now. Topple continuous nature in rows, one after the other, there exists a crude and urgent need. The lock is locked. What are the others looking for? More deliberate than the commotion of vows, I admit, marred, the argument opens wide and breaks into torrent. No recent past divides the slow spiral of erotic spirit by means of word or force. I want a crown on my head and solace less deserving. Nor shall we call them vultures. Those that flower with intelligence. Is not a bridge yet known as a bridge? A further gesture of memory? This might be the moment, an ideal spot for fracture. I pull back the hammer, the heart. But where is he that offers his neck, evacuating along the softest veins, all shimmer here, all too common but rust may blind us. There is gratitude, silent, slated, like a downed axe scour marks the grinding surface. We're young. I'm strengthened by a change in velocity, but here we tell a different story, others unlike them. You inviolate and from the margins smother relief, like meager research logic sent us. I reach out too far along the branch to pluck a fig, but my arms are by each side. Series of words wait for something certain. The search goes on in hot, swollen heat, penetration beyond instruments, beyond the curlback. My associated rift, obsessive image, a black recess is not quite what we supposed it to be. Small burrower, stirred by internal tide, stay here long incisively. Plucked inside, bystander always been my trouble. Reorder the environment with and against, within, without. A trap flourishes when empty. Echoes misled, your will and the will of others are what the hands must work for. Not only like a tool, but a tool. An immediate reading of juxtapositions, pious show of unmasking. So too, his hands are shaped by what they are asked to do. Her will is full. A seed contains the whole fight of episodic inner nature, the parasitic gesture brazened by mimicry, a trap inside which the oracle works to carry. But I will keep singing a story sung in the same rhythm and tone. A dark crawl space, unconstricted maze. I see the same rules of operation. Like a house that shelters the basement of sky, the grass goes through a life cycle when looking up instead of ahead. Dyad of women in nature, is the child another self of graceless material? What secret never has total objectivity? Here must I bloom and bedeck myself to seek the very roots? To get at it all, you have to open yourself and submit. Once elliptical, the privileged locus of closure becomes a diminutive enemy, a valve-bearing state whose smallness overshoots the target. Sometimes he is good meat, rose garden, black flies, a superstition of my own making. You said, keep your word. You said, are you done with your dreaming yet? Fault of a better to prove strange the love of my lover. Head erect, I was not asleep. you cunning, a juncture. The volume of interior is interrupted, partly around objects we perish. You and I are the stage. Tend this arrested happening, demolition, a replica for pilgrims and tourists. Point to one not functionally lonely. This has nothing to do with who we thought we were. Find me out, my state of mind. I knot with damp like me. I lick his bribes and hold back epiphany. Say I should have. On the trestle, there are degrees of tragedy. Lakeland, lake line, can't nobody follow me. Tie a rope to a pillar, like a mirror, ready. The sun comes loose, same as roosters. All children want to touch the animal. I know so good was good. Nailed in the cut, in her, the same name. You still say, do you remember? I reach for you in sleep. They sense, I think, oscillation of the body and the body. Time is thought in time. Cut too close, our temporary architecture of intimacy. We can miss the pleasure others take, the work one wants to touch. For sense, for what it does not do, only desire is desire. How to ease the labor of interpretation, how to get at the strange hum of it all. Who here is being unraveled?